This podcast brought to you by anticipation for the arrival of food.
Oh, boys.
We're under tight time constraints now. We need to get this crack flowing. I'm starving.
Very hungry. How do you spell tzatziki? It's a T. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So we made a list prior to the recording of, I guess, last week's episode.
Can I say,
Nope.
in anticipation of the food arriving, I also am excited, but I find dining with you an experience because
Okay.
now I'll hold my hands up here. I'll be the big man and admit that I'm at fault.
Okay.
This is a character trait of mine that causes difficulty,
Okay.
which is my overwhelming desire just to not even look at you and just inhale the food and get it into me and digest it as quick as possible. Whereas you like to
Never noticed this being a problem before.
you like to take a more continental approach and have a conversation with your meal.
Yeah. I mean, I like to just talk a lot in general, it seems.
And I'm just like, would you shut up? I'm eating my wrap.
Well, there you go. I guess we're eating these wraps in silence. Heard, message received.
No, I'll make an effort. I'll make an effort not to choke on my food anymore.
I'm just more thinking, like, would you not like to taste it?
I can taste it.
Can you?
Oh yeah.
It just feels like I eat.
Texture is half taste for me.
Even if I'm
anyway.
on my own, I eat very slowly. Like,
Nibbles.
yeah, well, you have to keep the conversation going both ways when it's just you know. So, no, I just like I just don't like to. You just get that. You got it. He's good. He's got it. But no, I just
There's a
like
time delay between the two of us.
yeah.
That's
From
what
here
it
to here
Yeah.
is
Camera trickery, but we're actually at opposite ends of the room.
I don't know how I'm getting my hands in here. But yeah, I just like to savor the food.
I've been.
I feel like you get less indigestion and stuff like that if you take your time. Like, I always wonder, like, yeah,
Don't give your body even time to think about digesting rather than never mind indigesting it.
yeah.
Just get it in and get it out.
Yeah, well, that certainly seems to be your approach. I just like to, especially when you're paying for it.
Well,
I mean,
my
you're always paying
habit,
for it.
mine's is a hard set habit of a lifetime that came from lying in bed till the last possible moment before I had to get up for school, and then absolutely hoovering 5 Weetabix into me in record time.
You can do that pretty easily though. Like, but
I
when
do
you've got
that and-
when you've got a nice falafel on its way, I like to savor it.
Yeah.
Margaret eats so fast as well. Like, sometimes I'm worried. I'm just like, hey, slow down. It's going to be okay. It's going to still be that no one's taking it
And
away.
what's her reasoning?
Well, after what would you say? Taking in the natural habitat from whence she came, it seems to be a kind of a quickly before someone takes the rest of it away from you, sort of a
Kill or be killed.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially, you know, there's like a fondness for a sort of a buffet approach.
Yes. Okay. Right. Put everything out on the table and let's have at it. Right.
Yeah. Not all the time, no. Like, but like, say for like a Sunday dinner or something like that, it'd be like a couple of roasting trays, and you can help yourself, whatever. And so I suppose it's that mixed with her generally competitive nature. Sometimes I don't even think she's hungry. She just has to win, and I don't know what victory looks like in that scenario. But it certainly seems to be finishing first at the very.
Let me
To finish first an awful lot of the time, actually. Now that I think about it, it's not a race. Sorry, rude.
Sexy but rude.
Sexy but rude. But yeah. Whereas I think as well, because I'm so conscious of like that, I'm constantly giving people shit for eating with their mouths open. And that seems like a thing that you do when you're so hungry that you're not even thinking about it.
Me personally?
No,
or
just like
the royal me?
The royal you.
Yeah.
Because like when like there is the odd time like I'm like super starving, and if I'm like on my own, I'll find myself just being like, you know, just fucking completely inhaling it. But then even like the sound of myself eating with my mouth open annoys me. So like, I'm doubly conscious that like if I'm going to be the guy to be like, hey, could you close your mouth? I also then have to have my mouth closed.
Yeah, a man must have a code.
Yeah, well, if you're gonna dish it out,
A lot of people, I've boasted before about being able to eat 5 Weetabix in something like 15 seconds. A lot of people are asking me to put my money where my mouth is.
I don't want you to put any Weetabix where your mouth is in this podcast.
So that's just an outright no.
Well, I mean, we can do it, but you can film.
We'll probably need to get a.
You can film it yourself.
We'll need to get a laminate.
It'll be like
cloth down on our nice purple fabric.
It'll be like a Van Morrison apology video, just like, well, what I was saying.
So you've no interest in sitting here and witnessing it in person? Do you not even think that might even be mildly entertaining for you? I'll give you earplugs. I'll blast in white noise into your headphones so what you're watching.
It's like Stephen Fry audiobook or something. I don't see the entertainment value.
How quick would I have to eat it for you to find it entertaining?
I would need to look away and back and it'd be gone. And I'd be like,
challenge accepted.
just completely.
Just a big smashed bowl in the wall behind me.
Yeah. What's that? Nothing.
Nothing.
It's always there. You're so unobservant. Yeah. I don't know. There's isn't every other YouTube channel these days just littered with some quirky thumbnail and he eats and he reacts sort of a...
What I'm getting here is you're already going to hate my proposed title, which is Man Destroys Bowl of Weetabix.
Man destroys
in 15 seconds.
Bowl of Weetabix. I mean, I don't doubt you could do it. I know what he wants. If there's something I learned over the course of the pandemic is this boy loves podcasting and eating at the same time. So...
It's very embarrassing you had to have words with me about that. he rang me one day and he was like, enough's enough. The charm is worn off.
Yeah, it wasn't fun for anyone anymore. Namely me. But yeah. I'll give you your 15 seconds of fame. Better not be a second longer.
15, right?
Including swallowing it.
Hey, nobody said anything about
Can't just be hanging out in your mouth. I don't doubt you can get 5 Weetabix into your mouth in 15 seconds. Any old cunt could do that. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, I'd like to see you devour a bowl of something a little bit more challenging in 15 seconds. If you're going to, I feel like anybody could just let the fucking milk make the Weetabix soggy and.
Well, that's the whole. That's yeah. Stop pulling the curtain, fucking.
Here's what I think would be impressive if you could eat 5 dry Weetabix in 15 seconds.
Try that for you. I'll tell you what. I'll try to do that if you let me do the other. But you have to sit there with no earbuds in, nothing, and you have to stare at me in the eyes while I'm doing it.
Oh, okay, yeah,
cool.
And this is instead of Wonderwall at 100 Patreon subscribers. That's good. I'll take that hit. Looking forward to doing it and all.
Saddled, cool.
It's grand. I know that's never happening anyway.
I'm not going to pay this cunt.
I'm not fucking paying him to sing a song. I don't give a fuck. I've got my own bills. But I'm so hungry and hot right now that I feel like every time I laugh, I'm on the verge of passing out.
It's okay. I got this. So I was out at a friend's house the other day and Wayne came up, started asking about reality. And I was just like...
I said this last week, no?
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this another child?
No, I was just...
Just my story back at me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've nothing to say yourself?
Nothing to say. Let's check the notes.
Let's check the notes. Okay, cool. So... oh, there we are. So it's...
oh, I know what it is. Today is Freedom Day in England.
What date is it?
July 19th. Also the same day
today.
Galway liberated from the Indians and the Ice Age ended, I think.
Say all that again. Is this common knowledge?
No, I think I'm almost certain July 19th is the date in Father Ted that they state the Ice Age ended, Galway is liberated from the Indians, and it's not Father Jack's bath, it's something else that comes around once a year.
Right. That's gone right. I haven't seen Father Ted in that long then, I guess. Freedom Day. Yes. Let's talk about it.
Otherwise known as fucking the beginning of the Great British Battle Royale.
Yeah. Well, it's only. Is it not only Freedom Day in England?
I think so. I think it is
Yeah.
Freedom Day in England.
For anybody listening on another planet,
Despite the
despite
all
all the
scientific evidence
pointing
suggesting,
to the contrary,
yeah, that we should be doing the opposite. Well, in England, they should be doing the opposite. Boris Johnson has decided to march on ahead with
Yeah.
Freedom Day.
just literally just because he said he would.
Yeah.
And of all the times that we really needed a politician to follow through on their promises, this wasn't really the one.
But the good news is today,
It just goes to show, though.
I think it was at Westminster as well. There was an it was either Westminster or Buckingham Palace. There was an anti-lockdown protest held today.
On the day where there was no more lockdowns.
Yes.
At least they're timely anyway.
Yeah.
So we meant to do it last
They
week.
did their research.
Yeah. Yeah. It just...
Well, you can still continue to wear a mask once the restrictions are kind of... Yeah, me too.
I will, yeah. And here's why. Because it's literally the least thing. The least I could do.
I was saying this the other day. I was like, I think
It is
people...
it's no skin off my nose.
I think...
Well, except literally from the mask. Actually. There's a bit of a wire that pops out of mine. But
I think the people that are really adverse to wearing masks are... it's a subconscious thing because, like... These masks cover your mouth, and it has that that suggestion that you're being muzzled or you're being refrained from expression. I was like, but if you caught the coronavirus through the follicles in your hair and everybody had to wear a hat, do you think there'd be as much uproar?
depends what it said in the hat.
You can be any sort of hat you want. You know, everybody has their kind of custom masks. As long as it reaches a correct specification, I reckon there will be half as many kind of vocal protesters about wearing a mask. I think the mask has a symbolism attached to it that people who are just looking a cause to rally against looking to feel oppressed will use the mask as a...
generally...
Whereas I think a dashing hat, if you were catching it through your hair follicles and you had to wear a hat, imagine everybody just wearing nice, cool, funky hats. There'd be no fucking protest about it.
I think generally it seems that the specific demographic of people that are anti-mask wearing in particular are white Liverpool fans in their late 20s to early 40s.
Nathan O'Regan destroys Liverpool bands.
Destroys.
Now, where are you getting your data sample from there?
Just up here.
Were you in Anfield there at the week?
Just up here.
Up in the old...
Just check the old filing cabinet here.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's a broad sweeping generalisation. I mean, I know that we're really, really, really...
This podcast, if it's anything, it's about the nitty gritty.
It's about the journalistic integrity. And so, I'll be honest, I haven't done my research. But...
The good news is, Nathan, neither have they, the people that you're chatting about.
Exactly, yeah. Well, if
protesting on the day that restrictions lifted is a sure sign of a lack of research.
I think it's insecure hard lads that don't want to admit that something could take them down. I think that's what a lot of that boils down to.
You reckon?
Yeah, that's what I think anyway. I mean, well, if I'm to glean anything from the folks in my timeline that seem to have the biggest problem with it, it's like generally like sort of like hard fellas, you know, that like don't want to admit that they would be at risk of something. And I think on some level it's like it's cutting down to their like very identity of like, well, if I wear this mask, it makes people, it sends out the message that I am vulnerable. And I
didn't spend 5 years growing this sick goatee and get the dentist to put a gold tooth in just to cover it up with a mask.
Do you know what I saw in Bangor the other day?
What?
And I saw him from a while away because they stand out for all the wrong reasons. A Kerry man wearing a Kerry GAA top
in Bangor.
Long
way from home.
Now, for a minute I thought he might have just been a fan of Kerry, but then I got closer and realised that he had shaved all just the side of his head, just here, and he had very, very raspy hair on top, and it was a very, very long mullet at the back, and he had the faintest suggestion of facial hair. And I was like, no, he's definitely from Kerry. He's actually from Kerry.
Although the mullet is
the top wasn't a gift.
I've noticed the mullet has been making a comeback.
It's a strong GAA look though. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the duck's arse.
Yeah. But and I was just like, that boy doesn't know where he is. This is a bad call, man. I nearly wanted to roll the window down and just be like, stop that. Don't do that. But yeah, like I just listen, we're all knackered with it. I think the likes of continuing to wear masks in shops. And I don't want to hear if we have to wear them there, then why don't we have to? Like, all that is just irrelevant. I think it still makes good sense to go into Tesco and or any shop, and just wear a mask.
Yeah.
Continue to sanitize your hands. It's not a big deal.
You're not part of the revolution by going to Tesco not wearing a face mask. Like,
yeah.
It's not a big fucking blow to the system. You're shopping in Tesco.
Yeah. And I don't know exactly. Yeah, I know exactly. But
at least get up to the fucking refill quarter.
Exactly. With your Tupperwares. Made from plastics that seriously harm the ocean. But at least you hang on to them though.
Yeah, so I remember Ryan was saying to me they went up to the refill quarter and they just went up and filled the fucking car full of stuff, and he was like, he just described it as something like a 4-mile round trip of diesel just to get a bit of peanut, like organic peanut butter. Really did. The offset wasn't much there at all.
But yeah, it's some of my favorite things that seem to keep popping out are like, you know, so there's this thing you see on so see Belfast Live, and in Facebook in general. It would be amazing, though I could obviously see why they won't do it. But like, I would love as a user of Facebook to have the option to like follow a page, but just not see the comments. Do you know what I mean?
But the comments are what entice people.
Well, of course, yeah, and I mean that. Admittedly, that's why I go there. Mm-hmm. But it's just like you aren't making the point you think you're making. When you say, oh, and so the flu just magically disappeared. Yes, it did. Because we all wore masks. And that's how it gets transmitted. Yes, 2 separate diseases can be transmitted in similar ways. Like syphilis and gonorrhea, for instance. You should know all about that. They both came from
your mother.
But you know, it's just like, yes, we only have limited ways. It's either this or this. Generally, is how we transmit things, or a bit of spilt blood on a something. But yes, we have limited ways of transmitting things, and if you shut down entirely one of them, yes, other things. I think the point they're trying to make is it's just the flu. The thing that people are getting is just the flu. Well, then maybe this seems like a really bad flu that people are getting. So you're not making the point you think you're making when you're like, oh, it just magically disappeared. No, it wasn't magic. We did things that if we did all the time, there'd be less flu too.
And also, when they're like, it's only the people that are really vulnerable. And I was like, that's most of us. Most of us have some sort of underlying issue.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I guess, fuck those people. Is that the argument?
Yeah.
It's only the sick and the weak.
What is this, eugenics now?
It's only the extremely weak.
My weak lungs deserve to exist as much as fucking some Olympic athletes.
Exactly. It just seems like the least we can do.
Yeah, it really is so easy.
It's such a minor imposition. Like there's not really. I often forget I'm wearing one.
You can wear one that brings out your beautiful eyes.
I love when people make the arguments like I mean, there's too many times to count that I've had a chat with somebody who says when I wear one I can't breathe, and then they go and have a fag, and you're like, you know, it's really hard to take your argument seriously when really it doesn't seem like by your other actions that breathing is of top concern to you. None of these people seem to be self-aware in any fashion. Like, I like to think, right? I would say in the last couple of weeks, I have been I would like to call it a measured amount of lax with the rules.
Mm-hmm.
In that,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know where you go every day, you don't know where I go every day, but we generally trust each other to, like, you know, when I'm in Tesco, I wear a mask. When I'm in fucking public places that aren't outside, I've been wearing masks. I trust you to do the same. I sanitize my hands a lot. I do all I can. But yeah, there's probably been times where, like, to be honest, not a lot, but, like, you know, sometimes you just find yourself in a circumstance.
Yeah.
And whatever. But I know that, like, if somebody was like, hey, do you want to go see my unbelievably in fragile health grandmother? I wouldn't be like, yeah, I can't see a single reason why not. Like, do you know what I mean? Like you can be...
How hot is she?
If your argument...
Because it's not real, like, although I don't want to put her in jeopardy, but if this is a real hot granny, that's something I gotta see.
Well, you know, who doesn't love one? So yeah, like, if your argument is that you just want to continue to live how you want to live, do it. But don't be a complete bastard and just think, like, oh, I don't need to worry about other people. Because you do, obviously, like. But then there's, like, I'm so hungry. Oh, so hungry. But this Freedom Day thing just seems like it really just seems to sadly kind of prove what we all knew to be true, especially in this country. I mean, fuck, you know, it's obvious here too for other reasons, but, like, it really is a case of, like, whoever just makes the most noise about something kind of just gets what they want.
They should have just called it Fuck It Day.
Yeah. Fuck it day. It's more apt. It really is. Like,
that's the kind of the feel of it. That's what I get the feel. It's like, oh, so it's just like, fuck it.
We're done.
We're done.
We've
with this.
had enough.
Like, let them die.
Yeah. Like, there was a story on Nolan the other day, and there was a couple, and there was just this complete fucking disingenuous kind of narrative over the whole thing. And in fairness to Nolan, a couple of times he did try to go, well, you know, that's what you did. But, like, so basically what happened was they flew, so they're from Belfast. They checked all the rules online. The rules said, if you hadn't left the UK or Ireland, so Northern Ireland, sorry, in the previous, like, 14 days, you didn't need to have, like, a PCR test or a lateral flow or whatever the test is to leave the country, to travel to another section of the UK. However, upon return, if you were so they went to Scotland. If they were coming back from Scotland to Belfast, as I understand the rules at the time said that they didn't need like another lateral flow test or whatever to come back in. But they were flying back into Dublin, and Dublin had rules that said if you were flying back into Ireland, we need, especially Scotland at the time was having, maybe still is, has mental numbers again or something, and it's having a bit of a moment with it again. So they basically said, there's a chance we're going to ask for a lateral flow test or whatever. And so they flew to Scotland, came back, and then were quarantined. And now there was other elements to the story where the wife needed medication, and I'll take that does sound like it was dealt with poorly. But they were blown away that, like, they were like, but sure, we only went to Scotland. And then, I mean, like, sure, we could have just flown back to Belfast and there would have been no problem. So, like, why couldn't we go to Dublin? And sure, all we were going to do was get into the car and drive back up to Belfast. And they're like, yeah, but they said that was going to happen. Those were the rules. And they're like, yeah, but, like, I didn't like it.
I didn't know they were going to apply to me.
I didn't know they were going to apply to me, like, yeah. And like, so I say to that a few things. First of all, what the fuck are you doing going anywhere on a plane?
I have to go to a wedding soon.
Has there been a stag?
It was pre-lockdown.
Are you going to be okay?
But there is a stag on the cards as well.
Yeah. Where are you going?
Different stag. Leicester.
And how far in the future is that?
August.
You'll be fully vaccinated by then.
I am fully vaccinated.
Yeah. Well, so I don't think they were either. But again, that's grand. But like, you will have to follow the rules of traveling. But you'll have to travel.
Nah. Don't fancy it.
Not me.
Not me. This
Not
guy
me.
with this winning smile.
But you know what I mean? But would you ring up? Would you phone into a phone-in show and then they have the fucking gall to be like, fucking Nolan show exclusive, hot investigation today, hot off the presses, and be like, basically the headline is, couple suffer the consequences of their actions. The whole time I was listening, now the only like egregious bit was that she needed this medication for,
yes,
and that was shit.
Yeah,
it was dealt with not in a brilliant way, and I'm not like undermining that, but the overarching message was like, can you believe that these UK citizens had to get were treated differently for flying in and out of a country into a different country to then drive from that country home, and they treated them differently, like, and I was like, yeah.
Would you say that's a case of British exceptionalism on show there, like that attitude?
That they just felt like, well, can't believe we're being treated differently. How dare these people tell us what to do? That's what we do.
That's what we do. We go places and
That's
do our
job.
thing.
Yeah.
And take the stuff.
Yeah.
Just lumping this couple in with the entire history of the British Empire unfairly.
Yeah. But, and in fairness, like, they were kind of going like, no, I understand. But the next day, like, they were talking about it like, first of all, no, they'd only been in Scotland for like a couple of days, right? And then the ma of the one of the couple, they were like in their late 40s, 50s sort of in age. And then one of their, I think it was his mother, was also on the line. And like, I'm trying to find what I was meant to be feeling here, but the mother was going, Jesus, like, so they right. Say this is a Thursday. The first show happens. They've just landed in Dublin the night before. They're now in a hospital or in a hotel. Sorry, they're not allowed to leave.
So they get on.
They get home the next day, like, right, and the mother then is like, "Oh, it's just so good to have him back." I'm like, they were only in Scotland, and then they were in a hotel in Dublin. Like, they weren't in fucking Syria. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's okay. They were fine. Everything's fine. It was inconvenient.
Yeah, the rules are an inconvenience.
They're inconvenient.
Yeah,
but like,
they should scrap the whole thing. I think it's the mildest inconvenience. I don't think it's
the
worth
overarching message of the whole thing was: can you believe that the rules apply to us, whites? Coming into another white country, but we're white. I don't get it. It's just mental. I just didn't understand. Like,
I know, man.
And you're just like, who am I meant to feel bad for? I can't
feel bad for yourself for a change.
I'm sure I'm always feeling bad for myself. It's the only way it works.
Listen, let them have their freedom. They didn't get their. It didn't come home. Didn't come home. And the Euros I don't think it's ever been home.
Must have got lost on the way.
I don't think the Euros have ever been home.
I think they must.
Kasper Schmeichel made a very good point.
It had never been home.
So one of the journalists asked him, like, is it coming home? And he was like, has it ever been home?
Yeah.
Because this is the Euros. And
I mean, technically, it did go home. Because as long as the European Cup is somewhere in Europe, it is at home.
Did you watch it?
No, I was listening to it. I was dry.
It was very hard. It's very hard to dislike those England players because they're generally a very, very sound bunch of lads, and they're all pretty cool. Like, they're taking the knee.
Just what they represent.
Yeah, it's not them. It wasn't them the problem. It was everything else about the country.
Yeah, there was a couple of like.
I say this always with the caveat of, with the exception of all my English friends.
Yeah,
these are all a bunch of bastards.
Did I tell you about I must have told you about the fella who phoned in.
You did. The guy who was like.
Was that the episode that I didn't end up releasing that time?
I don't think we talked about it. I think you chatted to me about it on the phone.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so a guy rang So Nolan, for a bit of levity at the end of one of his more serious episodes this last few weeks, in the true BBC fashion, they had to have someone on. So the topic of conversation was, should the home nations of the UK now all rally behind the England team as the rest of them were all out?
Mm-hmm.
And he had a fella on who was English, so he was obviously the guy who was going to be saying, yes, I think that should be what happens.
What sort of age, if a fella? I know it's only his voice, but what are you kind of thinking?
He was like late 40s, early 50s, I'd say.
Right. So he should really fucking...
He should know. And then there was a guy from... I think he said he was like from the Republic, but he had like a northern sounding accent, so he might have been from one of the remaining 3 counties of the north, somewhere. I'm not sure where. Anyway, he was definitely Republican leaning. You could have said. But so it was quite lighthearted, But basically, the topic of conversation boiled down to Nolan was going, playing the devil's advocate. He was going, but should we not get behind these lads? They've come exceptionally far. It's been very exciting, and they're our nearest neighbours and all this kind of stuff. And then the English guy jumps in and he's like, I don't understand. I don't understand. I mean, if it was the other way around, we would be supporting you. So what has England ever done to Ireland? I just don't understand. What have we ever done? Name one thing. And the Irish guy just goes, well, I mean, I don't know if we have the time now. But this lack of self-awareness was incredible. I loved it. You
can't blame them because for a lot of it, you have to blame their lack of learning about it in school and the lack of coverage of the shit that they did.
And just their general lack of decency.
And their just general lack of decency. Their clear lack of morals.
It was one of my favourite radio moments, I have to say. It was just like, because I genuinely believe he didn't know what they'd ever done. And he was in for an awful chat after if they took the time to maybe separate the 2 lads and let them have it out, But it was marvellous.
That reminds me of the time during it was some sort of spotlight kind of news night thing where they had a live audience, and there's an English guy, and they're essentially trying to figure out what the fuck's happening with Northern Ireland and the customs,
this recently.
This is over the last year and a half or so. What where Northern Ireland falls into these plans, because there needs to be a hard border with the blah blah, and he's like. Sticks a hand up, pure confidence.
Miss!
And he's one of these. He's kind of a bit of a geezer looking, and he's just like hand up. He's like, what if right? What if we just kind of take Northern Ireland, the top part, and the Republic of Ireland, and just kind of put them together? But he's doing this big fucking London English, and he just kind of leans back like,
I might have solved it. I can see no objections from either side, right?
Just expecting everybody to get up.
Israel, Palestine, we found him. We might have the guy. Just wait, we'll send him over.
He is wearing a turtleneck, just ignore that. I think he was as well. In my head, he was wearing a turtleneck, and he just...
Do you reckon in that moment he genuinely thought that no one else had ever thought of it?
Man, you have to see it, because he's just saying all the most kind of rudimentary solutions. He's essentially.
Did you try just getting over yourselves?
There was an article in The Guardian that essentially was like, Ireland needs to get over itself if we're going to move forward together. It's like, sound. Leftist, are you, Guardian? Aye.
Yeah, we'll just brush it all over. That's no problem. We'll just brush it all under the rug. Stuff it down. Stuff it way down. Yeah, it's kind of like. Do you know what I found interesting whenever I moved up here? There was a group of lads that I'm still very friendly with.
You just reminded me of something. Sorry, just when you said that.
Yeah. Do you want to go to it now? Or are you all right?
Well, no. Go ahead. I'll remember.
Will it still be relevant?
It's a reference to a couple episodes ago.
Okay.
I'll just say this: chips.
Okay, cool. I'm in. I've forgotten entirely what I'm
fucking forgot he's hungry.
I'm straight back. No, but there was. I think I might have said this before. There was a group of lads that like I am friendly with that we used to all meet up like on a Monday night and play darts. And there was one night that like that Northern Ireland were playing, I think, or something. Anyway, the topic of conversation rolled around to like, or sorry, maybe England were playing. Maybe that was what was happening. And they were like, "Come on, England!" And I was like, I've never been around anyone who wasn't English that was rooting for England. Like it's generally just never happened in my memory anyway. Like, and I mean generally like across the world you see these videos and it's just of bars all over the place that are just today we're Venezuelan. Like, do you know what I mean? Like really, like it feels like a fairly unanimous.
Did have pasta on Sunday. Before the
just
match,
to honour the lads.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And every little helps, you know. I play my part.
I'm sure my tummy full of rigatoni is really spurring Mancini and the boys on. But yeah, and just like, and so I said, I was like, are you rooting for England? And they were like, yeah. And I was like, would you root for Ireland? And they were like, fuck no. And I was like, wow. Now, they explained that the reason that was that a lot of the time some of Northern Ireland's best players end up declaring for the South. And that, I suppose, fairly enough, fucks them off. But at the end of the day, like, it's up to the individual lads, you know what I mean? Yeah. And like, this country being what it is, I suppose they have every right to declare for whoever the fuck they want. And while it may be frustrating, yeah, you know, we've had plenty of great Irish players declare for England. Like, it happens, you know. Coming over
we
here.
just happen to have already hated England.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, so like it was very strange to be in an environment where like there was a lot of folks around me like rooting for England, which I'd never. And you know what? Like I felt like at this point I didn't really have a fucking horse in there. I don't care about football. I was just I hope you lads get what you want and have a good day and fucking whatever. Like all these ones that are saying like, oh, I don't want to have to listen to it. I never listen to it anyway. You know what I mean? I literally just watch these things like when there's big tournaments on now, and that's about the height of it. Like, so it'll not affect my life. Like,
I think so much of it as well. So much of our perception of it is coloured by here anyway. In particular, in the north, all we get for sporting events is English commentary, English centric commentary, and like, it's like the whistle blows for kickoff, and one of the England players passes the ball back. He's like, "Dare we dream? Dare we dream?"
Yeah. In fairness, like, you know, it was like it went to penalties. You know, I guess they held out, scored the first goal in two. I mean, if Ireland were ever going to get behind the English team, that would have been the match to do it because they played just like them. We've scored quickly, batten down the hatches. Nobody fucking
Everybody freak out. We just scored a goal. Forget how to kick a ball.
Yeah, forget everything you've learned. Do you remember when you were 6 years old and we always used to run around after the ball completely with no formation like sheep? Do that. But
sheep attack, everybody.
Sheep attack. I'm so hungry and hot. But yeah,
they are some of the most fearsome animals known to man. You see a herd of sheep running at you.
You wouldn't be long. What?
You wouldn't be long switching to a 4-4-2.
Absolutely.
Two banks of four, just holding it down.
Absolutely. You'd be fucking finding out all about it. I just realised you have a notification there for, can I read that out? Just at 8 o'clock, he's got a reminder for plastic paddy.
It's the working title of a project that I'm working on.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, class. I'm looking forward to hearing all
about it.
Yeah,
about a plastic paddy.
Yeah. What's a plastic paddy for somebody who isn't aware?
Plastic paddy is usually something associated with like an American, like Irish American, who possibly has never been to Ireland.
But it's their entire identity. Class.
And they misconstrue. Like the thought of like if they flew into Dublin and seen somebody who wasn't pasty and curly haired and wearing an orange jumper.
Did I land in Zambia?
Yeah, they've no concept. I think a plastic paddy has no concept of the actual. A plastic paddy bases their concept of Ireland on the really romanticised
postcards, essentially.
What's that?
Just postcards.
Essentially, yeah, and the whole the Quiet Man did a lot.
They're
for
watching
that
Wild
story.
Mountain Thyme. They're like, I didn't know Christopher Walken was Irish. The accent is spot on though. If I know anything about Ireland,
I think after Riverdance went global, I think that probably spawned the birth of them in
their droves.
Yeah.
Arda, look, we're a charismatic bunch. People all want to be us.
And then you actually read about all the grim shit that happens here, and you're like,
yeah.
But we're great, Craig.
But pints, though.
Pints. Oh, look at me! I'm made of a spud and I'm playing a fiddle.
Diddly dee. But yeah, I think it is funny, like the just like the general, almost innocent seeming lack of kind of awareness, just beyond the reach of the rest of the world. That like that one fella that phoned in, I felt like I wanted to take him out for a pint. Like, do you know what I mean?
Per soul.
Just like, fuck all. Like, like that's so mad. like, and like,
I think the Brits will always have the Americans. The Americans will always fetishize them as a country, as well as Ireland. But they think everybody is fucking
out drinking
tea
big yellow
butler.
toothed tea drinkers. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure I told this before. Like, I remember my cousin coming over when we were both same age.
Sorry, it's like you're like, yeah, the Brits, the Americans will always have the Brits. They'll always have their back. They think they're nothing but a bunch of yellow-teethed tea drinkers. So they've always got that.
They're so quaint. But yeah, my cousin came over from America years ago, like when we were both 13 or 14, and about that age anyway. And he was genuinely blown away, like that we just had like regular roofs and we had cinemas and McDonald's, and like the whole fucking illusion had like he thought he was going to be dodging bullets when he got here, like, do you know what I mean? But,
yeah.
But yeah, so
we got here in a plane instead of a coffin ship. Can you imagine that?
I can't believe the transfer I heard about didn't happen in the middle of the sea. Just fucking and land down into them boats there. But yeah, did you feel bad for the English fans? Nah, me neither. I was hoping one of us would.
Nah. I'm sorry. I didn't. I sent a few half-arsed commiseration text messages, but I was like, it was very hard to hate you throughout this tournament, yet somehow I managed.
Yeah.
Commiserations.
Your friend, Mick. I don't know. It was funny listening to like 5 Live, like, so like the night before the final, I was driving home after shifting Domino's when like 5 Live takes over Radio Ulster or whatever, and all the chat was like, this is going to be the team. Southgate's a fucking hero. He's fucking. It's like a movie. It's like
it had the possibility of being like a movie.
Yeah. Especially when it went to penalties.
All the ingredients, especially when it went to penalties, all the ingredients, even with Southgate.
For anybody, who isn't in the know, Southgate.
He would have missed the penalty in the Euro 96 semi-finals against Germany, so they'd already beaten Germany on the road to the final. He was now the manager. It seems like a fucking great guy, well-liked across the board, all these really likeable, great players. See, with Brexit happening, leaving the European Union, it all seemed like it was driving towards an England victory in the final on penalties.
Yeah.
And it was great that it didn't happen, but it would have been a great story, but I can't stress enough how I'm glad that story remains untold, but it would have been brilliant had it happened. It would have been a brilliant story, and I probably been like, all right, fair play, but it didn't happen, Nathan, and it hasn't, and it won't happen for a long while.
And aren't we all delighted?
Yeah.
but yes, but
I wonder how much
how many English listeners have turned it off now?
I was more just thinking about the Patreon, and if we have any English Patreon donators. Talking ourselves out of a wage here.
Yeah, well, you know. Maybe they could consider it like reparations. Just every little helps.
Yeah, it's just a $5 from here and there, would really go to undoing the 800 years.
I'll put in a good word for you.
Yeah, and I'll back him up. I'll not say anything explicit myself, but I will say I can confirm.
Yeah. You're welcome. But
my fingers crossed behind my back.
But yeah, I the difference between like the night before and the night after, like all the chat before was like, we're amazing, we're going to nail it. They had Robbie Savage on as like the the colour commentator on the 5 Live show, and like being there was one fella absolutely murdered him, to be fair, because he was like the pure dampener on the whole chat. He was like, don't be getting ahead of yourselves, calm down. And a caller rang in and was like, he was really like trashing the English team. Like he was like, you've had an easy road. If you were to be able to pick a fucking group out of the sky, like you would have picked who you got. Like you've had an easy way here. Oh, he was really harsh on them. Like he was like, he's already fucking popped the fucking champagne here. Like he was, he was really. And I think this guy rang in and was like, Robbie, he's like, I mean, you raise a good point. Maybe we are celebrating too much, and like we're not there yet. Like he's like, do you reckon this English team, kind of for what they've inspired in the country, like, do you think that there'll be like an open top bus, even if we do lose? And would you agree with that? Like, and Robbie was like, he's like, yeah, probably. Yeah, it just seems to be the way this is heading. Like, there's nothing these boys can do wrong. Like, and he's like, basically he was just painting himself into a corner of like, that should only be for victorious teams and whatever. And he was like, yeah, he's like, because funny, like there was a big old bus now going through Cardiff whenever Wales got knocked out of the semi-final that time. Do you remember, or the quarter-final, or whatever it was? And he was just like, oh, he's got him there. Oh, fucking hell, Robbie, you've really let yourself down there. But the night after, like it was just like, Southgate's a cunt. I've never liked him. I hate him. I've heard only bad things about him. He probably should be fired. I know he's brought us further than any manager in the last 50 years in terms of fucking world level competition. But to be honest, I don't like him. Hate the style of football. Think he's a bastard. I heard that he punches the players in the dressing room.
Give it to Giggsy to the end of the season.
Yeah. And just like, it was so funny, like how fickle, like the entire, I don't know if they just vet the callers.
Just say the entire country.
I don't know if they vet the callers before and after, like, and they're like, right, after it needs to be hard on the manager, beforehand it needs to be complete sleepwalking into a probably well-deserved slap in the hole after we've, but I almost felt bad. Almost. Masks. Suppose you've already covered that.
We're both watching the timer countdown going, I
I
haven't had a notification saying the driver's on his way yet. I hope he's all right.
What's going to eat up 10 minutes?
That's the best attitude to have in this podcast. All right, we need a tight 10 here to get us through to the fucking red light.
Here's one. We had a brief chat about it beforehand. Clarkson's farm.
Yeah, you said I needed. You were going to argue for it because I poo-pooed it on the fact that it was Clarkson.
Yeah, and so my entire Facebook timeline before me watching this. Now I would have been a fan of Top Gear.
Gear?
Of what?
You said Chop Gear?
I said Top Gear.
I'm just hearing what I wanted to hear.
Okay, fair. Okay. You're just pork chop gear?
No, I was thinking more chopping gear and snorting it, but
fair.
You are pretty hungry.
I'm very hungry. I feel like I'm in a cartoon now and you've just turned into a steak. Do you know what I mean? Do you know the way like fucking Wile E. Coyote's just like...
and this isn't sizzle, this is sweat.
Yeah. But, maybe a bit of paprika there could do an awful lot for you. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. But yeah, I would have been a fan of Jeremy Clarkson during Top Gear up to a point of when he slapped a producer for bringing out the wrong steak. And that kind of... That really soured my...
You really steak on the brain at the moment.
yeah. Well, he did though. That's actually what happened there. Like he fucking punched a producer of Top Gear or something. Anyway, as is well documented. So would be firmly in Clarkson's a fucking Egypt camp, right? But a load of people in my timeline on Facebook who I know would also think he's a fucking Egypt were like, Jesus, for a fucking Egypt, that's a great show, right? And it was just constant, and it just felt like I was like, and I kept getting ads for it. I was just like, fuck it, I'll just watch it. And I have to say, an incredible show, well worth the watch. It was
give me the elevator pitch.
The elevator pitch as to why it's a good thing for the world, or at least for say the UK and the people who'll watch it, is this: Jeremy Clarkson a former, is the Grand Tour still going? Is that, I don't know, that fucking Top Gear spin-off.
Just Jeremy Clarkson, former Top Gear ball bag.
Top Gear ball bag, fast cars, V8 engines, loads of unsustainable fuel consumption, general dismisser of all things environmentally friendly and vegan. Anything in that sort of a regard has generally famously been complete poo-poo to him. And therefore, I imagine, has a loyal following of young men who feel the same.
Yeah. Bloody snowflakes.
Yes.
That sort of thing. That's all you need to say is if you want to describe someone's outlook, just say bloody snowflakes.
Bloody
and
snowflakes.
That covers it.
Those lads who think everyone are just bloody snowflakes. I feel like those people who, if they watch it and go, oh, I like Jeremy Clarkson, he's the guy who drives the fast cars and hates all the vegans. I feel this is the best opportunity yet to bring those people into the fold of getting serious about the environment, because Jeremy Clarkson goes on a kind of a journey throughout the show where it's clear that the impact of a lot of environmental things that he was obviously not aware of before the pitch is like he has a farm in like I think it's like the Cotswolds or something in England, like 250 acres or something,
right?
And he had a guy running the farm successfully for however many years.
Punched him as well.
He fired. So basically, your man retired. And instead of getting somebody else to run it for him, I'd only
end up punching him.
He punched the guy, if anybody wasn't aware. But instead of basically hiring somebody else, obviously he probably saw the dollar signs in his head and was like, this would be a good fucking reality show. I'll run the farm myself instead. And I feel like from a purely educational point of view, I learned a fucking load about farming, which I didn't. Like, in fact, the last like week, I've been driving around thinking like, especially like there was like the episode about like the harvesting side of the thing. They basically just got like shafted with the weather, and you fucking never really think about like how important the weather is to our entire food chain. Like, it's incredible, like, to realize that, like, you know, we're like, oh cool, the sun, and go to the beach, but like it is fucking ruining like what are already like tiny margins. I'll not spoil. At the end of it, they do like now bear in mind like 250 acres of fucking whatever, and they've got like, it's like wheel. Sorry, I'm gonna start that again. It's wheat, barley, and oil seed rape is so like rapeseed shit. And then he's got some lambs, and some beehives. And he does a couple of things to like try and help the like biodiversity of the thing. Anyway, chickens, all sorts of shit. But the farm manager ends up like going through the finances with him. He's like, right, here's what you put in. Here's how much this has all cost you for the year. And here's, you've sold all this. You've had a good crop, and here's how much money you've made. And you will be fucking blown away by what the profit is. And I'll just leave it there. You should definitely watch it. I think
you sold me on it. And is it a sincere journey of like, I think so, self-discovery from him, or is
I think so, yeah. There's still like the classic Clarkson humor, like, you know, he's like, oh well, you know, in the meantime, this guy's a cunt, you know, like
I'm gonna go out and punch a fucking
but there's also some very endearing characters in it too. Like, there's like the guy who builds like the stone wall builder, and like you just can't understand a fucking word this man says, and he's constantly giving him like what seems to be critically important advice. He's always the guy that has to deliver the message. And Jeremy's just like even the subtitles.
Can you just write that down?
He's just like, it's unreal. There's one point where he's on a walkie-talkie going, like, it's like a really important part of like the combine harvesters, like going up and down the fields, and this guy's driving it. He's like giving the other boy like a break, and they have to like, basically it can't stop. They don't have enough. They can't afford for the combine harvester to stop. So it has this thing where like it gets to a certain level and then a light comes on, and so then they drive a tractor up alongside it, and to fill the seed into the back of this truck while it's moving, like while it continues moving. But it's a very it seems like a very delicate operation that needs to be mainly led by the person driving the combine harvester to be like, right, you need to speed up a little bit.
Sounds like a scene in an action movie.
Yeah,
like
literally, it's like a really farmy Matrix.
I was thinking more like Die Hard when he's up alongside the plane. It's like
it's literally that.
No,
Yeah, and
the seed.
And so he's giving him like really important instructions, and you just can't fucking understand a word what he's saying. And Jeremy's like, I don't know, I can't see. And there's also this guy called Jacob who is like, he's like 20. And he obviously like knows way more about farming than Jeremy Clarkson does, but he's also never been outside the town. And so I'm so hungry I can't speak. There's a point where like he has to drive to London for something, and it's so funny. Like, it's just this poor fucker. He has never been in a scenario where there wasn't a mile radius around him with no people. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's like Babe Pig in the City. Yeah, it really is. That's exactly what it is. But I think, I guess to come back to what I feel is the most important thing, I feel like what's good about it is that he will take people who generally would be huge fans of his and would agree with everything he says. I think it might be a moment for them to go, well, fucking if Jeremy Clarkson's saying it and he normally agrees with me about all the snowflakes, fuck, this must be serious. So that would be my pitch for it. I really enjoyed it, and I generally am the same. I think he's a fucking idiot. I do enjoy his humor, I'll be honest. Like, I feel like stripping aside all the things that make him terrible, like, as it's presented, as always, in that kind of like Top Gear humor, it's funny. Like, so you'll enjoy it for that reason too. But there you are.
I'm watching.
Give it a watch.
Girls 5 Eva.
Girls 5 Eva. That's one more than 4 ever.
That is exactly it. That's the lyric in the song.
Is that really it? It's one more than 4 ever.
Yeah, why? Like 5 Evas, one more than forever. You know, it's about. Do
I get royalties because I came up with that independently?
Well, actually, the pilot has a lot of similarities to the Also Rans pilot. It's a Tina Fey produced show, and it has Tina Fey's stamp all over it. It's very like 30 Rock and Kimmy Schmidt, and it's kind of pacing and delivery. And it's about a late 90s girl group that get a bit of hate when like a SoundCloud rapper uses a sample of one of their songs, and they kind of just the four of them try and capitalize on the hate and just get the old band back together. That's essentially what it is, and it's so fucking good. It's so funny. I think if you have any sort of interest in, like, if you like the Also Rans, essentially you'll really like this. It's really worth checking out. Class. I'm only about 3 episodes in, but fuck me, some of the gags.
Have you began legal proceedings for?
No, I'm trying to just fucking track down Tina Fey's lawyer. But
I suppose as you've learned throughout the course of the show, you should wait until that show gets to the height of its success. Just like the girl band waited until the sample had probably got to the height of its success,
and then go for it.
Yeah. It was like a direct instruction to you how to sue herself. Fair play.
Yeah, no, there's a whole thing with like,
is Tony Wright in it?
He was one of the girls. That's right. It has a whole big like there's a what are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? He says he can't. Well, I'm not going to speak about it anymore. I think we've ran down the clock fair enough now. I think it's
Sorry, okay.
You tickle yourself there, did you?
Something came into my head.
It's alright, I sat there and patiently listened to you extol the virtues of Clarkson.
No, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed all that. I had a great time.
But I recommend anybody, if you're a fan of those other shows, check it out.
When we begin the recording of the next episode, there is a TV series that Margaret started watching that I have to get into with you. I have to
remind you now that Orla says she had chips in Cork and they were the best chips. They were. She says.
Where did she go? Did she tell you where?
I'm not sure where.
We should phone her at the start of the next episode.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
See you next week.